Everyone. I have been getting one single question over and over and over again, so many number of times on my inbox, on my WhatsApp, on my Telegram, everything. The question is, sir, why is cybersecurity so tough? If I want to make my career into cybersecurity, what is that I have to do? Right? This is like become the one most asked question across my cybersecurity career. So, to address you, I would like to say something that's very close to my heart. Right? I remember reading a magazine close to over 17 to 18 years ago. Okay, and this magazine had one. I mean, I did a Google search about how to become a hacker, what is hacking, and all that. This magazine had one liner which had a very profound impact on my life. It said, the world is full of fascinating problems waiting to be solved by crazy ones like you. I repeat, it said, the world is full of fascinating problems waiting to be solved by crazy ones like you. And I could really connect to that statement. I could really understand that it possibly was not only for a security analyst or a hacker or a developer. It is a generic statement. I think it will apply for every single person there is. Right? Okay, going forward, I also want to share a very small little incident which happened to me post my engineering college days. I'm sure you would be able to connect to what I'm saying, and hence I'm saying about my personal experience. So I am based out of Chennai, and after my engineering college, I worked in quite a few companies, and there was one company for whom I was working, and this company was based out in Tidal Park, and I'm sure most of you know already Tidal Park, right? So this company. Happened to work for this company on a project basis, and hence there was a point in time after the lunch break or the or the evening break. To be precise, it was around 4:30 to 5 in the evening. I was in the terrace of the same building of the company. I was having tea, and trust me, I just peeked outside of my corridor or the you have this small stairs beyond which you can see what's happening outside, right? There was one small fence kind of a thing on the terrace. I was just peeking out. I could see a lot of people going and coming. And I will tell you that one peek outside of the terrace changed my life for good. Let me tell you what I felt. That one incident where I peeked outside of the tidal park from the terrace. Imagine, I want you to visualize that, right? When you peek out, I could see thousands and thousands and thousands of people, not even thousands, maybe 10,000s of people going outside of this building and coming back in the building. And trust me, looking at it from a high level, looking at from a terrace, I could only see people's heads moving here and there. And trust me, I felt the feeling of being special, right? We always love to be felt special, right? I'll tell you, when peeking outside, I totally lost it because I felt I am one of the members who is just like them. And it felt like a herd of sheep. There's so many sheep, and you are one of the sheep who belongs to that herd, and that made me feel so bad. And I trust me, I'm not judgmental about what people work or their caliber or anything. I am not comparing myself with them, but I have a feeling of being special, right? So I want to be that one person who is not part of that herd. If you are one such, tell you, I repeat, I'll tell you, cybersecurity is such a domain you might want to consider, right? Let us take an example of companies like Wipro, HCL, TCS, etc. There are lakhs and lakhs of people working there, right? Say, let us assume Infosys has 2 lakh people in the company, right? And interestingly, in such a company like Infosys, who has 2 lakh people, I'm sure over 50% of people are into support. Departments. They help the customers. They more of a supporting function, right? and about 25 percentage of them are senior management, right? So 50% plus 25%, 75% already done, right? And rest you have decision makers who are very senior level management. I'm talking about CXO, CTO, CEOs, all that, directors, vice presidents, presidents, and all that. Talking about people into security and networking. When I say security, I'm talking about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity and networking, it is hardly 3% or 2% of the whole company, isn't it? I'm sure company like Infosys or Wipro might not have 10,000 employees working in the cybersecurity team, isn't it? So it's important we understand that if you become a cybersecurity professional, you already become one niche person in a company, right? So I'll tell you, when you belong to a department which is very small, right, compared to larger teams of, say, development star activities or development teams or support teams and all that, cybersecurity team usually is very small, and obviously when something becomes small, becomes niche, there is a lot of importance there, there is a lot of allowance there, there is a perk that you get which most other departments usually don't, right? And I believe, trust me, uh, the hike or salaries or the benefits or the perks that development teams get compared to a security analyst teams get, there's two different things, right? Usually it's two different things, and I really want you to consider that, right? Number one. And number two, if you ask me, how did I get into cybersecurity? What is that silver bullet? If I do this, I get into cybersecurity. What is that, right? So if you ask me how I got into cybersecurity, I would have a different experience, right? I would think that that is the right experience, and I would try to impart that experience to you. If you ask someone else, they would have their own experience of saying how they got into cybersecurity. Likewise, you just talk about anyone, right? Anyone who's into their respective domain. Say a cricketer, you go ask Sachin Tendulkar how he got into cricket, he would have his own story. Dhoni, his own story. It might not be applicable for you, right? For each of us have a different path we have traveled, and it is important we understand, consume that thought process, and start acting respectively, right? Okay. In cybersecurity, there are again so many domains. Cybersecurity, I would call cybersecurity as an umbrella domain, right? There's so many, in an umbrella, if you see, there's so many domains there. Each of the domain is important. You just imagine you have an umbrella without one patch there, right? It would be totally incomplete, isn't it? Likewise, in cybersecurity, there are so many domains. I will cover that in a separate video, but I want you to think of this, right? Networking, operating systems, databases, wireless, protocols. Then you have certification, accreditation. There are so many assurance services, regulatory services. In cybersecurity itself, there are so many different business units, right? And it's important we understand, realize that each of these business units are a separate line of business itself. It's a huge area, right? Just think of this. Imagine you are a networking person, right? You're from networking background. In networking, there are again so many. You have IDS, you have IPS, intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, you have firewalls, you have switch, you have hub, you have URL filtering solution, you have content filtering solution, you have protocol filtering solution. Imagine so much happening, right? Today, evolution of so many new technologies came up with SD-WAN, or you have artificial intelligence systems to do the networking and all that. Right now, I want you to understand that this domain of cybersecurity is huge, right? You probably should not think of learning everything to get into cybersecurity, right? I prefer, if you want to get into cybersecurity, take one domain. Take one domain. Focus on the domain for a while. Get a little deep into that domain. Then jump to another domain, do the same process, right? But eventually, you will realize that cybersecurity domain, you have done wireless, you have done operating system, you have done networking, you have done databases, you have done protocol, so many different things, right? Instead of, they say, you're jack of none, but master of, I mean, I'm sorry, they say master of none, jack of all trades, right? It is similar. I'm saying a cybersecurity professional is probably not master of any. He is a jack of many other things together, no, so many domains he already has some hold on that, right? He need not be expert on each of the domain, but given a situation, that there is a flaw, there is a requirement for him to get some subjects grasp on some subject, he would definitely be able to do it, right? So I would suggest this: when you want to get into security and you think doing certification is the right path, wait, right? Certification might actually help you get shortlisted on interviews, yes, correct, but I believe just having a certificate will not suffice for cybersecurity domain, no, right? I have so many certification, I still don't feel that I'm qualified cybersecurity person, right? Anyone who says I'm ethical hacker or I'm a cybersecurity expert, trust me, when someone claims that they are a cybersecurity expert, they really are not, right? If they understand the dimension of the subject, so huge, vast area, it's a universe by itself, right? If someone knows the size, the quantity of the subject, and still says I'm a cybersecurity expert, probably is lying. Right? So I want you to understand this domain is so huge. Take one specific area in that, master that, get a job and start working into that. Then slowly try to work on the allied services, right? For example, you work on firewalls, then you work on routing, switching and routing, then you work on access control lists, not just for networks, but also user accounts, getting to Active Directory, domain controller. Slowly, you should try to identify allied services and then start moving there, right? And yeah, there are two approaches here. One is the top down approach and the bottom up approach. What is a top down approach? Top down approach is very simple. It is like you joining a engineering program, computer science engineering. You decided that computer science engineering, slowly, gradually, you do multiple courses. Upon 4 year completion, you become a different person, right? This is a top down approach. You exactly know that you are going to become a computer science engineer. There is something called the bottom up approach, where say for example, I find someone on the internet who's really good at web application pen testing. I find them, I become friends with them, I learn. Then he says that he knows someone who's really good at some specific vulnerability, XSS, cross-site scripting in web application. He's really good at that. So what I do, I try to make friends with him, learn, exchange notes, have some research content to talk about, and hence I specialize it. This is otherwise called the bottom up approach, right? Based on my experience, I've seen people who follow the bottom up approach being a lot successful or a lot stronger in their domain of interest. Am I clear? Right? Okay. uh, and I would strongly suggest, when you're getting started, right, please pay attention to this. Try to get into an internship opportunity. Try to secure internship in companies who are into cybersecurity. And please don't do internships with companies who have cybersecurity as a allied department, or extended department. Their core area of work should be around cybersecurity, and that way what happens is you get to have one-on-one mentorship with the experienced people, right? Whatever you learn, read from YouTube and all that is different, but you getting internship or experience directly from the person, from an experienced person, you in fact cut down your learning time drastically. What I probably have learned for 10 years, you would probably learn it 1 year, right? And the interesting part is co-workers, peers, right? So you have team members who might be good at a specific thing. Each of us is good at specific thing. And I am 17 years experience in cybersecurity, close to 17 years experience. But I'll tell you, each day is a learning experience for me. I learn discussing with my team. I get to learn something, right? There are so many. I can name individuals. I can name, from the juniors till the seniors. Each of them teach me something. They don't sit down, open notes, open books to teach me, but when we discuss something, there is something that we learn, right? And I believe that knowledge sharing is the most important and the most effective way to learn, equip yourself, right? Okay. And I would tell you, first internship, then probably think about certification, not the other way around at all, right? At all. Number two, there are two other techniques that I would strongly suggest. You try reading books rather YouTube videos or any other video materials. Try reading books, right? Books are usually written by cybersecurity practitioners, right? Cybersecurity practitioners write the books usually. And what happens is you get an unbiased opinion about each of the vulnerability, each of the attacks, and not just a specific parameter. So usually in books, when you read it, a particular vulnerability is explained with the equal level of depth on each different subdomains, right? So instead, if you watch a video, the practitioner or the security researcher who explains about a particular vulnerability might be very excited about a particular vulnerability and not much on a particular vulnerability. So there is an unbiased, there's a bias here. So the books and all give you a very unbiased opinion. It conveys what is there as is. Am I clear? So number one, always read books than watching videos. If you are specific on what books you want to read, please post a question on the comment section. I will definitely respond with a list of books. Number one. Number two, jargons. Make note of the jargons that you learn from these books, right? Each of the books have a particular jargon that you might want to understand. Jargons are otherwise the vocabulary, right? There are specific terms that you'll have to use, right? For example, active directory, directory services. They're two different things, right? Usually people get confused. And each of this, BGP, Border Gateway Protocol, EIGRP. So what is the difference? So each of these, when you start reading books, you will get the hold of the jargons, right? It's important you make a note of them. And the most important third point, one is obviously read books. Two, make note of the jargons. Three, make a mind map, right? There's a popular software that I personally use. It's called Mind Maps. It's a free open source tool that you can download. What happens in the mind map is you can make a cloud of thoughts. You can just say a web application, SQL injection, cross-site scripting. In SQL injection, blind injection, Boolean injection, DOM-based injection, typecast injection, so many injection. For XSS, you have stored injection, you have reflective, you have, so, you are able to visualize something, you're able to give a picture to something, right? So that's how you will have to do the reading, right? So number one, books. Number two, jargons. Three, please make use of mind maps. So what happens is you get to know web application, SQL injection, blind injection. From blind injection, you might have a connection to some other vulnerability also, right? So mind maps will definitely add a lot of value, right? And then try to use softwares or open source tools which are more of a command line interface. Don't rely only upon a GUI, right? So which is graphical user interface. So when you use a GUI application, they limit your thought process with the set of buttons that they're given you, right? So there are only 20 buttons, so your thought process is limited to only 20 buttons. When you have a parameter that you can always apply as an argument to the application, it opens up a whole wide world. It might have 50 more opportunities of possibilities that is contracted to just 20, right? Okay. And yeah, these are like the key. One is books, number two jargon, number three mind maps, and number four usage of command line interface. Am I clear? Excellent. Now, if I were you and I want to become a cybersecurity professional, I will not search for how to become a hacker. How can I hack? Become a certified hacker. Nothing like that. Take a actionable item. For example, number one, take an item which is uh, how do I hack a web key in what, you just plan this, how to hack a wireless web key in 1 month period, right? In this period what happens is you get to know what are the possible vulnerabilities associated. You will understand what is the tool, how the tools, what are the parameters you have to look in the tools. You will understand the three-way handshake, four-way handshake. You can capture the package. You will understand what is a packet capture. You can understand what is a trace. There's so many learning that will come evolve, right? And now you go to another topic. What you've learned in the earlier topic, there will be some association. You will be able to connect to it. And I will tell you, when your topics start to connect based on the mind map, there is so much you will learn. And I'll trust me, the excitement factor that you will get is immeasurable, right? So, okay. And I would strongly also suggest, as a point number five, try to do a project. Always try to do a project. If you ask me how to classify a project, I would classify it into four broad categories: make, break, fix, and what do you call no? Make, break, fix, and no. First, make it, then break it, then fix it, and then know it, right? So objective is to know how application or vulnerability works. Rest of it is a supporting function. Let us understand. First, try to make an application. Now try to break the application with the vulnerabilities, right? And then fix the vulnerabilities that you have broken, right? May it be using a registry entry, or may it be a coding level vulnerability or that you are fixing, some way or the other. So first make it, then try to break it, then fix it. These are the three most core important things that will help you learn it, know it, right? So this is how you have to do a project. So any project you want to do, make sure these three core elements are addressed, making you learn the concept. Am I clear? So in case of your comments, please do write on the comment box below. I'll be happy to address back, right? And yeah, if you ask me how much time should I spend to become a proper cybersecurity person, in my opinion, I would not compare my scale with your scale. I probably am a weak student who's not that strong in IQ. You probably are way better in IQ than I am. So I would say roughly about 10,000 hours of training. 10,000 hours of training is will make you a reasonably a good cybersecurity person. Consider you, I mean, I'm considering you work close to around 40 hours on cybersecurity subject, or training or content, or trying to do some hackathons or war games, etc., right? So I think 10,000 hours of hands-on and training together will make you a very confident professional who will also be able to contribute back to the organization and to yourself, right? Am I clear? And uh, this process, right, the whole process of me sharing this experience, there's a very interesting graph that I want you to imagine. This part of the graph, okay, the graph goes all the way down, comes up like this. Okay, I want you to just imagine there is a graph like this. It goes all the way and goes back like this, right? So the first part, the first point here is unconsciously competent. I'm sorry, unconsciously incompetent. So this is where you start. You're unconscious about the cybersecurity, you don't know the vastness of the domain, you're incompetent, right? You don't even know how competent you are, so you're incompetent, you're just trying to learn the skills. Now all the way from unconsciously incompetent, you become consciously incompetent. From unconsciously, you're becoming consciously incompetent. Both ways you're incompetent, right? So I repeat, unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent, right? Now from unconscious incompetent to conscious now all the way you're moving here and then here. What is this? Consciously unconsciously incompetent. Now you become consciously competent. Am I clear? Unconsciously incompetent, consciously incompetent, consciously competent, incompetent, and consciously competent, right? So you go all the way using the graph like this, and trust me, from unconsciously incompetent, your objective is to become consciously competent. The strength that you'll acquire, the confidence that you'll gain over the period of time we touch here is amazing, right? And when I say the domain is niche, there are so many, only few that you have to compete to become a star performer of the organization or the team. There's a lot of chances you get recognized a lot better faster, right? And trust me, this domain is so beautiful. I would suggest each and every one of you to definitely give it a try. If you don't try it, I will tell you, you are probably missing out something in your life, right? So this is my quick experience when people ask me what I should do to get into cybersecurity. I think these are all the key pointers that one should do to become a cybersecurity professional. In case you have questions, in case you have comments, please comment right below in the comment section. I'd be more than happy. If you did like the video, please give me a like. It would motivate me to do more videos, right? So all the very best. Do very good. I'll catch you up again with another video. Good luck.